Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Prince William County School Board approve the appointments and releases of specific employees as presented in closed session.
Do I have a second? Ms. Zargarpur seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote. Ms. Jessie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms. Ralston, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Ralston votes yes.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes 8 yes, unanimous. 9.02, motions in order. 9.02.
I move that the Prince William County School Board approve the performance evaluation of the clerk of the school board and the 2020-21 year school year annual goals for the office of the school board clerk as presented in closed session.
Do I have a second? Ms. Zargarpur seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Ms. Jessie, yes. Ms. Ralston? Ms. Ralston?
Yes.
Ms. Ralston votes yes. That's 2 yeses.
Vote is 8 yes, motion passed.
8 yeses, motion passes. Carol, can I take these others in one? I got to do these one by one? Where's division count?
I tried to do that earlier when
Oh, so
I
we gotta go
put
one
them
by one.
on here,
All
so
right.
they're one by one.
So we have a series of these. We're going to go through this a little bit onerous. We have a motion for 9.03. Ms. Williams.
Thank you. I move that the Prince William County School Board exempt the students in case RE 20-1, RE 20-2, RE 20-3, RE 20-4, RE 20-5, and RE 20-6 from compulsory school attendance under 22.1-24B1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended with the provision that the school board retains its rights to again review the request at a time when the children are of sufficient age to consider their beliefs separate from and in conjunction with the beliefs of their parents.
Do I have a second? Ms. Wall seconds the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Ms. Jessie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms. Ralston, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Ralston votes yes.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes 8 yes, unanimous. 9.04.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Prince William County School Board exempt a student in case RE 20-7 from compulsory school attendance under 22.1-254B1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended with the provision the school board retains its rights to again review the request at the time when the child is of sufficient age to consider their beliefs separate from and in conjunction with the beliefs of their parents.
Do I have a second? Ms. Wall seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote. Ms. Jessie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms. Ralston, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes 8 yes. 9.05.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Prince William County School Board exempt the students in case RE 20-8 and RE 20-9 from compulsory school attendance under 22.1-254B1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended with the provision that the school board retain its rights to again review the request at a time when the children are of sufficient age to consider their beliefs separate from and in conjunction with the beliefs of their parents.
Do I have a second? Ms. Zargarpur seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote. Ms. Jessie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms. Ralston, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Ralston votes yes.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes unanimous 8 yes. 907.
906.
6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Prince William County School Board exempt students in case RE 20-10, RE 20-11, and RE 20-12 from compulsory school attendance under 22.1-254B1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended with the provision that the school board retain its rights to again review the request at a time when the children are of sufficient age to consider their beliefs separate from and in conjunction with the beliefs of their parents.
Do I have a second? Ms. Zargarpur seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote.
Yes.
Ms. Jessie, yes, great. Ms. Ralston?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great.
Vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes. 907.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Prince William County School Board exempt the students in case RE 20-13, RE 20-14, RE 20-15 from the compulsory school attendance under 22.1-254B1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, with the provision that the school board retain its rights to again review at the request at a time when the children are of sufficient age to consider their beliefs separate from and in conjunction with the beliefs of their parents.
Do I have a second? Ms. Wall seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote. Ms. Jessie?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms. Ralston?
Yes.
Ms. Ralston votes yes.
Vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes. 908.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Prince William County School Board approve the performance evaluation of Division Council and the 2020-21 school year annual goals for the Division Council as presented in closed session.
Do I have a second? Ms. Wall seconds. Any discussion? No discussion, please vote. Ms. Jessie?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms. Ralston?
Yes.
Ms. Ralston votes yes.
Is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Outstanding. Very good. That is the end of action items for closed session. Okay, I would like to call the meeting now officially, the open session of the Prince William County School Board to order. This meeting of the Prince William County School Board is being conducted electronically under Virginia Code 223708.2 and the authority granted by the General Assembly on April 22nd, 2020 through Amendment 28 to House Bill 29, which permits the school board to meet electronically during pendency of the current state of emergency for the purpose of transacting such business as is statutorily required or necessary to continue operations of the Prince William County Public Schools and the discharge of its lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Ben, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Next, we'll have the approval of the agenda. Motions in order. Ms. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that, I move that the Prince William County School Board approve the public meeting agenda as recommended.
Do I have a second? Ms. Zargarpur seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote. Ms. Jessie?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms. Ralston?
Yes.
Ms. Ralston votes yes.
And the vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes 8 yes. Adoption of the consent agenda. A motion is in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Prince William County School Board approve the public meeting consent agenda as recommended.
Do I have a second? Ms. Wall seconds. Any discussion? As seeing no discussion, please vote. Ms. Jessie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Jessie votes yes. Ms.
Yes.
Ralston? Ms. Ralston votes yes.
And the vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Motion passes. Next, we're coming to the time for citizen comments. Due to the COVID-19, right? Are we on citizen comments? Yeah, right. Due to the COVID-19 state of emergency and legal restrictions on the school board's authority to conduct its meetings through electronic means, unlike other public bodies meeting electronically under more expansive legal authority, all discussions at this meeting by board members, staff, and citizens must be limited to the agenda items. Citizens may speak on an agenda item for 2 minutes. When the board is able to resume regular meetings without the virtual participation permitted during the state of emergency, expanded citizen comments will be resumed as provided by Policy 134. In the interim, citizen comment time has been reinstated on a limited basis in order to allow public comment both in person and through electronic means during the state of the emergency. Those citizens who have signed up in advance with the school board clerk via email no later than 4 p.m. Wednesday, October 7, 2020, may address the school board in person or virtually on agenda items. There are 27 speakers who have signed up to speak in person this evening, and 23 have signed up to speak virtually. I don't have my normal thing here, but there will be a timer on the screen for 2 minutes. The timer will, I think, go yellow with 30 seconds, go red with 10 seconds. We have a lot of speakers tonight, and it is by no means that I am trying to offend, but we will keep it to 2 minutes, and I will ask when we hit the 2-minute mark to go ahead and complete your remarks, and we will move to the next speaker. Again, please use proper decorum. If you don't, we will ask you to stop. So I will start with the folks in person, and I will just call you. I'll call 4 names if you want to come up to the front of the room to take the 4 seats up front, if you so wish, or you can come when your turn is up. Mr. Jahanzeb Akbar, Carrie Chambers, Ovetta Scott, Sandra Kern. Mr. Jahanzeb Akbar, first. Okay, fine. Okay, can they hear us in the lobby?
Hello, everyone. My name is JB Akbar, and I'm after working in business for 5 years, I didn't know that the first elevator pitch I'd be giving would be here tonight in under 2 minutes, pleading for the safety and sanity of my fellow teachers and students. But wait, sorry, before I begin, why are you guys sitting so far from each other? That has to be more than 6 feet, and didn't you get the memo? It's supposed to be only 3 feet. I guess I saw that at bars and restaurants too, and I was confused. Wait, did I actually get a memo? No, I think it was on Twitter that I read something, or maybe it's one of the students that called out something during my classes, one of the barrages of questions that I got that I had no answers to. Yeah, it couldn't have been a memo from the district because, that would explain effective communication, and that's not something that we're really good at in this county, it seems. Sorry, you have to forgive my sarcasm because, you see, I'm a mess of emotions right now. I'm angry at the world because, once again, it has to be teachers who shamelessly advocate for themselves. Except this time the hashtag is not red for ed, it's dead for ed. Or maybe it's because I'm confused as how we seem to be spending so much time and money for this plan to return to, for the disruption of return to learning or disruption of education, I'm not sure which one it is, when we only have a handful of school days until the end of this calendar year. But, I'm no expert in child psychology, but I know that routines matter. And just as we started getting into the routine and rhythm with our students as teachers, here you are to disrupt us. A friend of mine, a colleague, he told me once that we spend so much time coming up with mission statements for each school year, when really we should be united under one metric. Does it help or hurt student learning? So I ask you, all these changes, all this disruption, does it help student learning? In chorus with thousands of educators in this county, I'm here to tell you it doesn't. I'm also here to tell you that this community is my home. I've invested basically every single thing in it, and I will remember tonight the decisions you make about it. Thank you.
Carrie Chambers.
I don't know if this needs to be sanitized or not.
Okay, teachers in schools are working hard, and I appreciate all that they're doing. However, the virtual platform is not accessible or equitable to anything but the mainstream student or higher. Students with learning disabilities, mental health issues, and/or a lack of parental support are the ones that are truly suffering from this environment. Let me give you an example of an assignment in Canvas for my 3rd grader. Here are the directions. Print out the map of Africa. Lightly shade the continent with your pencil. Use the map on page 26 of the student edition to draw, color, and label the 3 surrounding bodies of water, the 3 geographic features identified by the red flags on page 26. Draw and label the path of the Nile, trace over it with blue. Maybe not too complicated for a 3rd grader that has excellent reading skills, comprehension, or has an adult next to them. Daunting for a student with a learning disability and no parental support. This is just one example and not the most difficult I have come across in my 3rd graders' Canvas. So I ask you, Prince William Education Association, how can you state as to one of your reasons to stay virtual is to ensure equity and continuity for all learners when all learners aren't currently receiving an accessible and equitable education? Additionally, PE PWEAU claim a reason to stay virtual is because the economic disadvantaged minority and English language learners had barriers voicing their choice. Let's look at the barrier. They had to do it virtually and through technology. And I agree, doing everything virtually and through technology is creating barriers to an equitable education for all students in Prince William County. There is a disconnect in what is open versus not what is open. Private schools are back in person, some full-time. Daycares are open. Child sports and activities are back in full swing. Once again, everybody with resources, whether it be financial, time, or ability, are able to give the kids what they need to continue their educational, emotional, and social development, and a portion of our society is being left behind. The barriers that we worked so hard to break down have now been put up for a big portion
Thank
of our
you.
population.
Ovetta Scott. Ovetta Scott. Next will be Sandra Kern, just for.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Superintendent Dr. Waltz. My name is Ovetta Scott, and my address on file. Tonight's magic number is 10, because that's the number of days of in-person instruction that a student will receive in the 50-50 hybrid model if it is executed on November 10th until winter break. Let's be clear, students may not truly receive quality instruction on the first couple of days because with change, new norms and routines will have to be established. But for calendar purposes, we will keep 10 as our magic number. I know that some parents want their child to return to school because they are finding virtual learning difficult and they want their child to be back in the classroom. I, however, fail to understand why this community is willing to try normal while an incurable, unpredictable, contagious disease that prevents socialization still exists. This school board and superintendent is willing to risk the health of students to continue asynchronous learning, which is still virtual, and have teachers perform dual roles of instruction just to have school open. As teachers, we want to provide quality instruction, but these conditions make our job very strenuous, which is not an example of world-class education. At the July meeting, I spoke here and I warned this body that COVID-19 is blind and will enter our school buildings and come after our staff and students, and it did. When you add more people into the building, you are increasing the rate of infection in this county. COVID-19 spreads from person to person, as stated on the CDC website. You are about to give this disease 10 days during flu season to have its way with our students and staff. This is not creating a safe working environment for anyone. 10 will not be magic for this school district. Thank you.
Sandra Kern.
Good evening, my name is Sandra Kern, and my address is on file. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here to advocate for the education for total transparency as we navigate the second quarter return to learning. The brick and mortars of students, that's their expectation, that's their foundation. Knowledge is power. There is a standing virtual choice. Allowing schools to remain closed is taking away a very principle of education that I advocate for, a free and appropriate public education, which is FAPE. It's not acceptable to abandon our children in their bedrooms, in dining room tables. In-person learning impacts children. Direct services in classrooms with teachers and peers is essential. The grid and many IEPs and virtually is below the minimums, not working. I've attended more events for mental health and suicide prevention for teens in this past 2 weeks because of the COVID and learning to encourage others to be informed. I'm concerned our children are disengaging, being isolated and abandoned, finding no supports from a school computer. Face it, at home the cameras are off. Those kids aren't in class. We need to be working towards the goal of education that grows young minds. Not everyone virtually is equally engaged successfully in academics. The hybrid 50-50 in-person learning plan is to assure students and teachers a safe transition back to our classrooms. Returning second quarter is paramount for many. In-person should be clear directions. We're not wishy-washy. We mask up, we sanitize, we communicate. Holding back our future helpers, healers, and humanitarians is not progress. October is National Awareness for Dyslexia. Please let's think of those 1 in 5 children that are struggling to decode and encode. Reading is a life skill. We can do better. At the end of the day, I'm just a mom. But those children that are crying that want to be in school, I will advocate for them. Thank you, Prince William Boyd.
Susan Burhouse. Susan Burhouse next, and then after her will be Kimberly Cresswell, Jake Harris, and Stephanie Myers.
Hello, thank you for listening to us all on this emotionally charged session. I need to tell you, my emotion is that I kind of hate this whole thing, the social media stuff and the stuff going on outside, the animosity, the judgments. I don't want any part of it, but I really feel like I needed to come speak. I've got 5th, 9th, and 12th graders, and my older kids in particular, they need to be back in a classroom to learn and to engage, but I feel that their experiences are being dismissed. Maybe it's because we look fine on paper. We're really fortunate to have internet. We have devices, spaces for them to work. We do have an adult at home most of the time. So the right pieces look to be in place for us. I guess it's easy for others to assume we must be fine, but I can assure you the status quo is unsustainable for my high school kids. What makes it even worse is that what we're hearing doesn't match our truth. We're being told that virtual has been proven successful and that high school students in particular are adjusting better. I know it's working in some cases, I'm not going to dispute that, but trying to generalize to all students or certain groups of students, certain ages, that can invalidate individuals' experiences. The biggest challenge for my high school kids is lack of engagement. This is no fault of the teachers. They're amazing, they're working so hard, but my kids' classmates, even one of my own kids, they're on mute, they're off camera. It's dull, it's boring, there's no connections, they don't even know who their classmates are. Kids are all different, we know that. For my kids, having this time just all alone, having to teach themselves advanced high school classes, they can't learn like that. Take my oldest, he used to be lively and joyous in school, but his strengths are grounded in class discussion, interactions, debates. There's nothing that's working for him right now. So I'm sure we're going to continue to hear a lot of assumptions, generalizations, hyperbole, and as you move to consider maybe keeping high schoolers or maybe everyone virtual indefinitely, please just don't base your decisions on assumptions that invalidate kids' needs.
Kimberly Cresswell. Kimberly Cresswell.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Cresswell. I've been a registered nurse in the ICU and the ER for 15 years. I have 3 kids, including a 1st and 4th grader. This pandemic has completely dismantled our lives. It's understandable. There has been much we didn't know. Thankfully, due to the abundance of caution our society has taken, our lives are slowly returning back to normal. Unfortunately, our children have been impacted the greatest. They've lost the enriched learning experience they once had, their social skills are declining, and this has taken a tremendous toll on their emotional well-being. I understand how difficult it is to suddenly react to this situation. I appreciate the hard work our school administration and teachers had to endure to make these proper adjustments. However, the reality is that a virus will not go away anytime soon, even with the vaccine. It will not just disappear. No one can guarantee when it will be 100% safe. But when has anything been 100% safe guaranteed? We must adjust like we always adjust when something new strikes us. By implementing what every other business and public facility is doing, we can minimize the spread and make schools safe for both teachers and students. What brings me here to speak in person today is organizations like the PWA that are demanding we prolong this fully virtual model. These teachers that I personally know who are vacationing, shopping, attending social gatherings, some during the middle of the school day. How can they justify engaging in these social activities yet refuse to come back to the workplace? What other profession would allow that? That would never fly with nurses, grocery store workers, waiters, UPS drivers? Are we supposed to single out the teachers and make it okay for them to stay home until this all blows over? And at what point will they agree when it's safe to return to school? If we don't act now, then when? Scientific evidence in the CDC already proves that schools can open back up. And with the right safety measures in place, just like businesses, youth sports, and other schools have already done, staying fully virtual until there is no more risk is unrealistic and cannot be justified in any way. We need to move forward, and parents need to have a choice and a say in the matter. Prince William County surveys showed that 79% of parents were choosing to send their kids back to school. This 50-50 hybrid model will help us advance in a cautious manner where we can carefully evaluate the situation and inform next steps towards fully opening.
Thank you. Jake Harris. Jake Harris. After Jake Harris will be Stephanie Myers, Elizabeth Gatto, Michelle Taylor.
Hello, my name is Jake Harris, and I get like headaches almost every day, and it hurts really bad. And I feel like if we were in school, like this is affecting my after-school activities. Like I do ballet and contemporary dance, and like one day I had to skip because I had headaches. These are all coming through being on the screen all day. And another issue we have with this is that some people don't even stay at the screen. My teacher told me a story that she said one of the kids joined, and then he never left. He was on the class for like 6 more hours, and she just let it go on and on and on. And then, like, there's some good things about this, but they're not like all that good. Like, there's so much stuff that is bad about it, so much stuff that is good about it, but like more bad stuff. And it just makes like me go, I have all these crazy emotions, and I'm in the gifted program, right? And I've had so much hard stuff to do, it aggravated me so much because I had to get my parents in. There was so much questions being asked by me because I didn't know what I had to do. There's so many buttons that I had to push, so much stuff that I didn't know because I'm not the best at tech. And if a teacher calls on me or something, my eyes start to water because I'm not really good at being and talking in front of a lot of people. So it's really hard for me. And so I had to say thank you so much for your time.
Stephanie Myers.
We meet. I'm a nurse. I work for this county. As a school nurse, I've worked in the ER. I'm not asking anyone to get sick. I currently go into the schools. I wear my mask. I sanitize. I clean. This needs to be our new normal so we can open up more classrooms for our children, like my son, who's at a critical age for developing his sensitive mind. He has so much incredible potential, but we need to help from the schools to get him back in the classroom and limit the electronics. I go into the schools to be there for kids with IEPs. Why can't my son, who has an IEP, attend a school for less screen time and get a fair and equal education? According to an article published by Cambridge University, half of mental health problems develop by adolescents. Therefore, there is an urgent need to identify factors linked to mental health issues in our community. Many studies have found significant associations between screen time and poor well-being. Some students may be able to self-regulate their time on the computer. However, my son is wired different. Imagine having a son that is very gifted and can tell you every name of the presidents, can recite word for word what he's read, can tell you everyone's name, his birthday, everyone's names and birthdays in their school, jumps on the trampoline and enjoys reading. Now imagine a kid who's obsessed with electronics, with an inability to reason as a typical child, a kid that doesn't respond to you when you say his name. Imagine a kid that last year in 3rd grade, when he asked you how your day was, I cried, because that was the first genuine question he's ever had about feelings. Imagine a kid that ate turkey, liked it, and I cried, because it was the first time he didn't gag on something other than mac and cheese and peanut butter and J. Now imagine a kid now that flaps his hand and tightens his muscles and holds his breath, stimming, when he watches videos on the computer screen during school. A kid so obsessed with technology, taking it out of his hands is like reasoning with a heroin addict. He's now on the screen for 6 hours a day. Imagine a kid hitting his head out of frustration because he can't talk because he's muted, goes into distress because of the minor changes in routine. Imagine a child now that has trouble sleeping at night because it's too much stimulation from the computer screen.
Thank you.
Imagine a child who really focuses and never partakes in true give and take conversation,
Thank
who now
you.
stuck back in their own little world.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Elizabeth Gatto. After Ms. Gatto will be Michelle Taylor, Michael Bonanno, Dr. Bishop.
This is the problem with masks, and don't start my timer yet. Okay. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Gatto. I'm a mother of a 4th grader at Prince William County Public School. I will say virtual learning is not working. I'll repeat, virtual learning is not working. And I would say that my daughter's basically doing self-paced 4th grade. I don't know about you guys, but my first self-paced class was in college. But enough about my situation, let's discuss the facts. The American Academy of Pediatrics strongly advocates that all policy considerations for the coming school year should start with the goal of having students physically present. The CDC states the best available evidence from the countries that have open schools indicate COVID-19 poses low risk to school-age children and suggests that children are unlikely to be major drivers of the spread of the virus. Reopening schools creates opportunity to invest in the education, well-being, and the future of one of America's greatest assets, our children. When surveyed, the majority of Prince William County parents, 79.7%, indicated they plan to send their children to school in the fall. I gathered some comments of parents and received over 140. I will read a few. Most of them were similar. The workload provided has my 9th grader working on assignments until 10, 11 p.m. at night. My 11-year-old cries on and off during the day out of frustration with the virtual system. My 9-year-old does not really grasp the whole concept of virtual learning, has trouble completing assignments. My freshman in high school is failing in just about everything because he can't figure out how to submit and navigate his way and keep up. A mother of a 1st and 2nd grader says they used to love school, now they hate it. They hate the computer, dread getting on every day. Every assignment results in a huge tantrum. My 11-year-old is being treated for depression and anxiety as a result of virtual learning. My 1st grader lays on the floor crying from Zoom fatigue. Virtual learning has cost me my full-time job. My kids will always come first, but the bills are going to be fun to figure out. Just a few examples. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Let's stop this insanity and send our kids back to school.
Thank you. Michelle Taylor.
I'm going to adjust this real quick. Hi, I'm Michelle Taylor. I'm a high school teacher here in Prince William County. I'm here because I'm disappointed in the lack of transparency that I feel like has happened between the board and the rest of the community. And I'm here because I don't think parents truly understand what they are signing up for their kids for when they're choosing the in-person option. I hear a lot of parents saying that virtual is not a conducive environment for my child. And while I understand that, I am here to tell you what an in-person environment is going to look like, at least from a high school standpoint. This has all been things that have been communicated to me by my admin. All teachers will have a mixture of virtual students and in-person students, and teachers will all be live streaming their lessons from their classrooms. That means most teachers that I have spoken to will still be using the same software, websites, and resources that they have been using in order to keep things equitable. Those things are not going to be changing. Students will not be allowed to remove masks, leave their desks, visit drinking fountains, or walk around the classroom. Teachers have been encouraged to remove extra desks, to remove extra posters, and all interactives from our classrooms because they are impossible for us to keep properly sanitized. Additionally, students will still be expected to log into Zoom 2 days a week when they are currently at home. So what does your student benefit from this new thing? They are going to get 40 extra minutes of additional lessons a week, which is fantastic. I like that. But here's some other things that they're going to get. An earlier start time, shorter lunches, a 30-minute wait at the beginning or end of school because of staggered bus times, and they will no longer be able to attend flex or student or teacher office hours because those will be removed. Furthermore, what happens if a student or teacher contracts COVID? Well, your guess is as good as mine because this is from the Prince William County website. Prince William County Health Services team will work with Prince William County Health District to determine next steps. I don't know what those next steps are because those have not been defined or given to us. There are too many unanswered questions with this current plan and only a month for everything to get planned. The CDC has listed Prince William County as being a high risk for COVID. If we go back, we will get it. Thank you.
Michael Bonanno.
Good evening. I have a high school daughter. These are some comments from Dr. Laura Sterney from Johns Hopkins University regarding student health. One of the major consequences of the transition to online learning is the impact of student health, specifically sleep habits, such as altered sleep cycles. Exposure to light in the evening, especially blue light from computer screens, may suppress nocturnal melatonin secretion and alter circadian rhythms, which can cause difficulties falling asleep, staying asleep, waking up, and daytime fatigue. Virtual learning has increased the amount of time students spend on digital devices every day, which can affect a student's physical and mental health. Increased screen time usage has been found to be linked to increases in depression, anxiety, and perceived attention problems. Students are struggling to create an environment free of distractions and develop the necessary organizational skills to stay on top of their assignments, noting that these difficulties can affect students' mental health. Online learning has also affected physical activity levels for students. Not walking between classes has made students stationary for hours in front of their computers and make them feel extremely sluggish and lazy. My observations: how many elementary and middle school students do you know that have a good time management skills? There's less accountability for the students, less interaction with other students, less interaction with teachers, and much more work. Imagine learning statistics, algebra, and chemistry through class notes and not actual instruction by the teachers. This is actually happening to my daughter. I asked the school board to take a vote to get our children back in school. Don't rely on the superintendent. You were elected. You make the decision. Don't shuck it off to the superintendent. Thank you.
Dr. Bishop. After Dr. Bishop, we have Maggie Gafaldi and Luna Gafaldi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Monica Bishop. Thank you to the board members who responded so positively to my Why We Wear Our Mask video concept. I look forward to seeing it come to fruition to educate students and faculty on the importance of mask and hand hygiene compliance to keep our school community safe when we are back in it. I want to continue by reminding everyone of an important point. Virtual education was created to be a temporary bridge during the gap in in-person education. Please tell me that our goal is to continue to progress towards 100% in-person, where we know the overwhelming majority of our students will receive a world-class, well-rounded education that will prepare them for adulthood. To get from point A 100% virtual to point B 100% in person, we must walk the line, and if that is 50-50 hybrid for all school levels, my family is for it. Board of County Supervisors Ann Wheeler sent my family a thoughtful email regarding the $25 million CARES Act that they approved for our Return to Learn plan. She said it was approved, and I quote, to ensure an equitable education for all during this unprecedented time and to ensure a safe learning environment for all, end quote. Despite the amazing efforts of our caring and hardworking educators, 100% virtual is not providing an equitable education, and it is not safe for all. My 2 high school children are not okay. Those are their words. Even though they have 2 parents who love and support them, they are struggling mentally and academically. Sadly, we have many students who are not supported at home or are being abused and neglected. It is your duty to provide a safe learning environment. The extended isolation and virtual learning are causing unhealthy changes in our children's brain, eye, physical, social, and psychological development. Prolonged stress leads to inflammation, making our immune systems weaker to fight off even simple infections or viruses. The earlier we return to a modified normal where we are sharing experiences near one another, the sooner we will be mentally and physically stronger. It is imperative that all ages, grades K through 12, begin returning to their classrooms this November. If not, high school dropout rates will increase, teen suicides will increase, and this will create a wider gap in inequity for the economically disadvantaged. Their mental and physical health and academic success depend on receiving in-person education.
Maggie Gafaldi and Luna Gafaldi, or Maggie first.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for letting us speak tonight. In May of this year, my husband, myself, and our 4 school-aged children moved to Woodbridge, Virginia after living in Germany for 10 years. So we have seen firsthand how the German and European authorities have dealt with this COVID situation at the start of it. With countries like Germany saying that they will avoid mass school closures even if new cases surge again, and instead isolate affected areas or schools and increase COVID-19 testing, we need to look at why. Why are they doing this? What are the facts? According to the CDC, in an article entitled "The Importance of Reopening America's Schools This Fall," extended school closures deprive children who live in unsafe homes and neighborhoods of an important layer of protection from neglect, as well as physical, sexual, and emotional maltreatment and abuse. Also, a 2018 Department of Health and Human Services report found that teachers and other educational staff were responsible for reporting more than 1/5 of all reported child abuse cases. So what's happening now? During the COVID-19 closures, there's been a decrease in reporting, yet an increase in evidence of abuse as seen in the emergency rooms. Without in-person schooling, students don't have access to the other needed services such as one-on-one counseling, which is so crucial for many kids ages K through 12. As written by the CDC, the extended closures can be harmful to children's mental health and it can increase the likelihood that children engage in unhealthy behaviors. A study in Germany was conducted by the Leipzig Research Center for Early Childhood Development, and they found that isolation at home is damaging to the mental health of children, especially those from poorer families. Our children are growing up in these neighborhoods with kids who are directly affected by these statistics and studies. What will be the ripple effect, just like she mentioned earlier, in our neighborhood 6 months, a year from now? What is going to take for someone to notice this? And there's so much to say. Anyways, there's so many examples in Britain, what they're doing, in Germany, keep the windows open, we can wear masks. If we look to what other countries and states and counties are doing, we have plenty of models and examples for our own classrooms. We have teachers that are most capable, you guys are capable of creatively coming up with ways to learn how to maneuver through these new norms.
Thank you, Ms.
They have the skill. They can do it.
Luna Gifaldi, and I'm sorry I wasn't looking at the clock, but I will keep strict to the time, please.
I'm a student at Saunders Middle School. I just moved from Germany. I'm speaking here today because I strongly believe that all students that want to should have the opportunity to go back to normal school. I recently moved, so I have practically no friends. I think you've all been in I'm sorry. I think you've all been in health class, the adults at the very least, so you have to understand when I say that it's not good for a child's mental health to not see any friends, especially if they have no siblings. I'm an introvert. I read over 45 books this past year, and even I think I need friends. I do understand if teachers or students say that they don't want to go to school because of COVID-19, but it really impacts a student's learning when they can't see classmates and teachers face to face. In Germany, we did online school, and my teachers' personalities were not shown much when we did meetings. After all, they had barely enough time to give lectures and lessons because they were only limited to 30 minutes. In each class, I get around 1 to 5 assignments a class period. And if you're really lucky, one of your teachers will assign I read over 45 books this past year, and even I think I need friends. I do understand. To students learning when they can't see classmates and teachers face to face. In Germany, we did online school, and my teachers' personalities were not shown much when we did meetings. After all, they had barely enough time to give lectures and lessons because they were only limited to 30 minutes. In each class, I get around 1 to 5 assignments a class period. And if you're really lucky, one of your teachers will assign
Good evening.
I read over 45 books.